international level once they leave the school in terms of whether entrances into Australian, American.
Sure. We also have the principal from Queenstown. I'll take it.
Thank you.
Since you have your children in various classes right from grade 2 to grade 10, and a very valid point was raised about the fact that you're doing it through worksheets. The difference basically is not in terms of curriculum, because the strength of the Indian system is not getting lost in the CBSE-i. We have a very strong policy document in the National Curriculum Framework, which is at a national level, and it defines educational policy, also defines pedagogy, where it has in the last few years said that it should be constructivist, which means that you engage with children and you draw them into activities. So the one major difference is that in the CBSE, you have the strength of the Indian educational system, especially in terms of mathematics and science. So there's no dilution of curriculum. The difference is, and the critical difference is the way it is perceived, the way it is, the pedagogical terms and how it is transferred. So the delivery of the curriculum is not through textbooks. That's why you see only what you're saying is handouts is actually worksheets, which is part of the student material. The approach is modular and it is through a portal. So it's basically e-learning. Thereby, there is supposed to be a lot of integration of technology. It may not be happening at every level because it takes time, but I have been told that Mimeo technology is being used in these schools a lot. It is desirable that every classroom should have a interactive board, because it is running through a portal. There are no textbooks, but that doesn't mean that there is no curriculum material. There is definitely curriculum, there is a syllabus, there is a structure for every grade, and then that a thematic approach is being followed. So if it is grade 1 and 2, in fact I think I will take a few slides from the presentation just to make it clearer.
As far as material is concerned, though we are saying there is no textbook, there is no prescribed textbook, but if the schools are aware of that, and some bit of that they are going to also make it available to the parents. The actual material is more than what is available in the books. As of now, the parents didn't have the access to the material, which we have started giving them now, because we realized somehow this information could not pass properly from the schools to the parents, that there is a lot of material available. In fact, I was told that just to give a comparative example, that if an NCERT's textbook, let's say, is of 100 pages, the teacher material that we have developed is not less than 500 pages, because the material that we have developed, it has explained everything, how to do those things for different types of students. Some children understand it in one way, some set of children understand it in some other way. So this material which has been developed for the teacher, it has got lots of things to empower a teacher to transact this teaching and learning inside the classroom in different ways, so that everybody is able to learn. So I think it's a question of understanding that there may not be a textbook, but there is much more textual material that is available. Another thing about CBSE-i and CBSE is about flexibility. Like if you take example of, let's say, social science, it is one of the subjects which children don't like. I keep on asking the students across the country, you ask which subject you hate the most, at least 90%, 95% of them will say that we don't like the social sciences. And the reason for that is the way it is taught inside the classroom. And number two, it is being completely out of context. That if a child, let's say, who is in Singapore, if he is asked about, let's say, Himalayas, or if he asked about Jammu and Kashmir, or if he asked about some revolution which has taken place, let's say, in UP, while the child is from, let's say, Maharashtra and is now staying in Singapore, he will find it completely irrelevant, and therefore he will be forced to just mug it up. In the CBSE-i curriculum, the flexibility up to 25% has been given to the schools. I do not know how many schools are actually using that flexibility. In fact, when the first time the examinations of CBSE-i have happened, It has never happened in CBSE curriculum, but for the first time in social science syllabus, there were different question papers for different schools. And the reason for that was this only, because we had said that there's going to be flexibility. So let's say if you are in Singapore, you would expect more questions on, let's say, properties related to the sea, to the port, similarly the type of economy that is existing here, the type of quality that is existing here, so that the child is able to understand in the context.
So, first of all, I would, on behalf of my mother, she's a very big fan of the CGPA system. I would like to thank you for implementing it. So my question is have you taken any consideration for the examination takers to view the exam papers of class 12 after they have been evaluated?
In fact, from this year onwards, the exams have already happened, and now the results will be coming out shortly, maybe in a few days now. The class 12th result should be there. This time what we have decided that we will give the photocopy of the answer scripts to those students who are wanting it. So this was not there till now, but from this year onwards it's going to be there. There is some a payment which is there, so that's a small amount of fee which is basically to meet the administrative expenses, but it will be made available. It will be after the period of this initial period of about 15 days, if I remember it correctly, during which you can apply for verification. So once that period is over, then you could also apply for this thing, and the application will be online so that we know quickly as to who all are wanting their answer scripts, and then we'll post those answer scripts to those students who are wanting it.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I'd like to ask you one question regarding the overseas education system. The students have a lot of options available to them, like the International Baccalaureate, IGCSE, and now CBSE-i. What do you think is the key feature that puts the CBSE-i at par with all of these curriculums?
I would not say at par, I'll say it's better than other curricula, because there is a specific reason for our starting CBSE-i, because we realized that CBSE has got some inherent potentials, like our syllabus in mathematics and science. It's a very strong syllabus. But similarly, our stress on values throughout the subject, across curriculum, is again very, very strong. So what we thought is that if these strengths are retained, and then what is required in a global context, the flexibilities of different type, and bringing in some element of international education, if that could be done, this will be, by doing this we'll be able to offer value for money. So while it is as good as any other international curriculum, it gives a child, it gives a parent a value for his money. So therefore, of course, then it depends on what you are, what the child or the parent is wanting. So for that, you'll have to refer to the detailed things which is being taught. But this is an Indian international curriculum. So all that is good about India is there in this, as well as all that is required in a global context. It's also available there.
Great session, basically informing us of a new system that our children are going through, CBSE-i. And I think it's a great marketing effort on the part of CBSE to reach out to parents like that and educate us on the new system that's being developed. Yeah, we have more clarity on CBSE versus CBSE-i. We truly understand that it's a step in the right direction for CBSE from where it was historically. And so to me, they're not very different. It's just a step in the right direction. The I is more like a step in the right direction.
It was very informative, and parents like us who are like expats, and we do get to know like if we have to move back. The CBSE-i is really, it's a different thing, especially in any other country also. To take it up, it's like good. Like the session was pretty informative.
It was very interesting. Actually, I don't have much information on IB and what is the difference between IB and CBSE. Of course, it doesn't basically not in the context of this session, because we were kind of being informed about CBSE-i. It's interesting to see that CBSE is going for something different. It is trying to capture what all things we need for overall development of the child, and maybe give them certain added advantages, or probably instill certain different aspects to their education which can be beneficial for their future. It's something that I don't know what IB stands for, but I know that there is a lot of computer-based training, a lot of modules are there. So this modular way of teaching, it's quite good because it makes it interesting for the child, because a child normally reading from a book and rather than using a computer-based education, which I feel is nice. It has some nice pictures, it has some nice sound. So the child, especially for younger kids, but of course for elder kids, most who are just approaching 10th and 12th, where they will be very keen in seeing what their future lies and what all direction they should go. But as such, from primary education moving forward, it will be great that CBSE-i is going to capture something different. And also it was very informative session. I would say a lot of things which I probably wanted to ask were already covered by the parents. So it was great. I started with CBSE, so I know what CBSE. We was at our times it was real studies. We had books. In fact, things have changed a lot. I see that CBSE itself has the way the books have been structured. It is quite good. And on top of it, CBSE-i will be kind of making it more modular, maybe making various other aspects, which I'm sure we have just seen a brief of it, but we can always get more information on that.
My son's in class 10 and he was in a CBSE school in Bangalore. So we had a lot of anxieties about moving one to another country. And then in addition to that, when we came and investigated, we found there was a new curriculum. Unfortunately, after today's interaction, I realized we probably should have taken the plunge towards CBSE-i because it seems to be heading towards the future rather than which is the bog standard CBSE, which our son has taken into. We'd probably consider the CBSE-i if we were to continue in the CBSE stream for class 11 and 12. So unfortunately, we couldn't get this information when we tried finding out from parents who had taken both CBSE and CBSE-i. So the advantages weren't, out in the public. What we understood from the parents as well is the direction is there, the goals are there. We might not be there yet in terms of delivery of the agenda. There are anxieties from the parent side, but yes, but I definitely think that CBSE-i is in the right direction. There is clarity, there was transparency. The question answer sessions were dealt with very honestly by the chairman as well as the rest of the faculty from the school. So yes, it was very useful.